They said your mic sucks. They said it sounds like you're recording audio from a subway station in Transylvania. Well, that is fixed. Be right back with a new mic.
Hello, my Archeage friends. This is Aired on my character September from the Dinestrious server, and in this video I'm going to talk about Larceny and loot from the library.
Hello? Hello? Oh, hi. Well, I hope you all got that joke. Thank you to Jahlon from the Paradox Gaming Network for lending his wonderful voice for that intro. And this is Aired on my new mic. It's a Blue Yeti. And it was the most recommended one there on Amazon. So yeah, I hope it sounds much better for you. This is Aired, and we are indeed going to be covering Larceny from the library. All right, so my last video, I covered the coin purses from the Jesters all the way up to the Ancestral. But I didn't talk about the library purses because they were, well, different. In fact, it is actually one aspect of Archeage that is somewhat traditional in that the money that you get from Larceny actually comes from both the coin purse as well as the crate. So if you're a new or a returning player to Archeage, I imagine that you really haven't given much thought to what the purpose of the library actually is, other than the current issue that everybody seems to be experiencing, where the bosses spawn and all of a sudden the server lags to hell and back. But the library, at least at one point in time, was the best source of XP, and it was also required grinding as the obsidian weapon and armor materials only drop from there. The library was, for many versions of Archeage, a focal point with many quests, dailies, and hidden gems. Even at one point having a long chained quest in which after you completed it, you were rewarded with 1,000 gold. But we're not here to talk about what was, only what is. So let's talk about these coin purses and crates. Now I should point out that the library crate is really called in-game a quote-unquote research bundle, but it is actually kind of like the same thing in that it is a crate. So my goal of this video was to determine if the library farming was better or at least on par with what the ancestral mob farming is, at least in terms of silver to labor ratios. And while I did test this on the media test server, I didn't record my numbers, but I do remember my thinking was, it's pretty crappy. But to be fair, I still think Larceny is pretty crappy given our other options. All right, so I'm going to give you all my numbers here, but I want to give you the parameters in which I use so you can compare that to your character. First, I farmed each floor of the library for only 15 minutes. The second thing is I was using buffs, and those buffs were in the form of the Moonlight Juice as well as the Torino's Index. Now, the Moonlight Juice gave me a 60% drop rate buff, and the Torino's Index boosted my defenses by 1,500, both magic and physical, and my damage by 75%. Now, Moonlight Juice is something that anybody can craft. It's a common buff that you can make at a Regal cooking station, and the Torino's Index also is craftable by anybody with some common materials, and probably the hardest thing to find would be the Earth Mana leaf. Now, those leaves are found off of tree woodlots, which you should have somebody able to craft on your server by now. At least somebody on mine is. It only requires 50,000 logging, buffed or unbuffed. Also, if you happen to be trying to figure out where you can get a Regal crafting station, those are actually available in starter towns. So here's a couple. If you're a Harani, you can go to the Arkham Iris in the town of Hatora. And if you are a Nuia, there is one, I am told, in the Souls Reed Peninsula at the starter town Wharton. So those are the two that I know of. There may be another town in each of the faction starter areas. Those are just the two I know. Now, the library has 3 floors, and each floor has unique coin purses and crates, aka research bundles. Additionally, the mobs on the first floor can drop level 50 library rings, that's jewelry. The second floor can drop earrings, another piece of jewelry, and the third floor can drop the necklaces. All mobs can also rarely, very rarely, did I say rarely enough? Rarely drop armor and weapons, library armor and weapons, along with occasionally, not as rare as the weapons or armor, reading room orbs. Now, those jewelry pieces require 150 base labor to open and can, be somewhat valuable depending on the type and the grade you get. It's all RNG there. If you get a unique grade of a particular class that is very good, you can get maybe 150, 300 gold for it, depending on your server. Now, the weapons and armor don't seem to be worth much now that everybody gets free hire 'em. They used to be very valuable because it was something that you could just give your alt, and it was a level 50 weapon with decent stats right away. So let's move on to the coin purses and crates. All right, so you can see in my bag here what I got for my 15 minutes of each floor. Floor 1, I received 8 crates called the Librarian Research Bundles, and as well as 28 coin purses, as well as 1 jewelry piece ring. Now on the second floor, I did a little bit worse. I got 5 crates called the Scholars Research Bundle, as well as 27 coin purses, scholar coin purses, and additionally 1 corner reading room orb. Now, if memory serves me correctly, you need 6 of the total corner room orbs to get to the last guy, the last boss in that area, but that's for another video. And then on the third floor, I received 10 crates called the Dean's Research Bundle, and 26 coin purses, along with 3 additional corner room orbs, as well as 3 necklaces. Now, before I open all this up, I should point out that I'm not in optimal build for farming at the moment. So I'm currently working on my Archmaster title quest, and that requires me to get every skill level up to 55. So I'm actually running skills, a class that I'll never ever play again, and running skill trees that I'll never use. Additionally, my gear score at the time, as you can see here, is a little over 5,600, and my main damage weapon was a Hiram Tier 3 Divine Scepter, really working on getting that thing to epic. That said, the class I was running is Edge Ripper, which is Sorcery, Shadow Play, and Swift Blade. I have no skills from Swift Blade, don't even use it. But ideally, if I was actually going to farm this professionally, I guess that's a thing. I don't know. If I was really farming it, I would run a traditional build that I like, which is Sorcery, Malediction, and Songcraft. It's also known as a Spectra. Or I may even go back to my good old Revenant class, which is Sorcery, Aromancy, and Occultism. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open all these up, and I'll report back with the numbers. All right, so I got everything opened up here, and let's take a look at the spreadsheet. You can see in my bag what I got. This was the floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, and here is the spreadsheet. All right, so what I got out of the first floor, there was 8 bundles. I got a bunch of these Ionad costume scraps. Those are used to make a costume. I'll show that here in a minute. Glowing prisms, lunarite, garden powder. Based on the labor to open up that particular research bundle, it was about 4 silver per labor point. The scholar bundles, floor 2, that is pretty similar as far as silver to labor ratio. And in those, you get the enchanted skin. And that's pretty much you can kind of see the flavor of what's going on here. You get a costume item, and then some glowing prisms, lunarite, and garden powder. There is a chance, like you see here in the floor 3 Dean's bundles, there was a clear Cynthium shard. I believe that any of these bundles can also drop the Cynthium shard. Now, this is interesting. Once you get to the floor 3, it was, for me, based on my larceny, about 7.3 silver per labor point, which isn't too bad actually. That actually surprised me. And again, this spreadsheet will be made available to you in the video description. I also want to mention I'm getting a ton of requests for shares, like Google shares. Please just make a copy of the spreadsheet and save it to your own Google Drive so you can change these numbers. If you're not an editor, you cannot change these numbers. And I think that's why everybody's asking me. Just make a copy and you can do whatever you want with it. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the coin purses. They're almost identical. I mean, they're all crap. So let's go ahead and go back to my level, which was master. The floor 1 Librarian purses came out to about 5 silver per labor point. 5 silver per labor point, 5 silver per labor point. They pay a little more, they cost a little more labor. So the only reason you would do the Dean's purses over any of these other floors is if you just want to burn your labor quicker. The problem is these mobs are a little harder to kill. So it's kind of up to you, but I think if I had to do it again and I wanted to farm this stuff, unless I was working on a costume, I guess floor 3, because at least the bundles have a higher silver to labor ratio. And there was only one Cynthium shard. So if you think this Cynthium shard was making or breaking it, if I just change that to 0, you still see that the silver to labor ratio is over 7 for my level. So it is... that is not the determining factor. It's really this. It's the disciples' tears help that bundle become better than the predecessors over here. So there's the numbers. There's the spreadsheet. Link will be in the video description. All right. So as for the purpose of the loot, I just want to add this. I'm going to go ahead and open this jewelry so you guys can see what's going on here. But the loot that you're getting from these bundles are just for the costume. There's no other purpose. Personally, I would never make one of these costumes. If you look at the cost of these, you've got 100 Archeum essences, which alone is like, 300 gold-ish, plus the 400 gold crafting cost, plus all the mats that you're going to dump into it, plus 1,500 labor. You really, really got to want one of these costumes to spend that kind of money on it. If you're a collector, and maybe there's an achievement for it, I haven't looked, but that just seems like a complete waste for a cosmetic item. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this jewelry. Like I said, I got one ring. Here it is. That is a Berserker ring. That's probably worth 15 gold, considering I just spent 128 labor to open it. I don't know, maybe that's a 10 silver per labor point. It's not too bad. The necklaces are kind of bottom of the list because of the warrior's necklace. No one really wants one of these, but you can see what we're getting. And there was at least a heroic one, an assassin's. So that's good for archery, ranged accuracy, 1.8%. Yeah, maybe somebody will buy that for slightly more. But there you go. That is all the loot from the library. Oh, before I close this out, I did not open the library weapon or the library armor, and you're probably wondering, I said that they're very rare, and indeed they are, except for there is one mob that spawns randomly on one of the dimensions, on one of the floors. I don't know, it's like every 12 hours. I never really figured out how he spawns, but his name is Treasure Hoarder, and he's an orange mob. If you happen to see him and you kill him, he has almost a 100% drop rate. I happened across him while I was doing my farming, so that's how I even got these. I'm going to say that they're probably not worth opening. I'm going to research a little bit, but based on the labor cost, like 600 for this weapon, that's a lot of labor for something that's probably not worth anything, and the armor is in kind of the same vein. All right, everybody, thank you very much for checking out this video. I hope that helps you decide if the library farming is right for you. I also want to thank my special guest, voice guest, Jahlon, for his intro. That was really cool. Again, everything will be down in the description. If you have liked this video and you found it both helpful and informative, please just remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Comments are important nowadays. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions, any video ideas, all the ways to get a hold of me, Discord's probably the best. Those links will be also in the video description. Thank you, Patreons, and thank you, supporters. Until next time, this is Arid saying, be well.